The Kraken starship NALRE floated silently in the vast blackness of Earth's orbit, its sleek form invisible to the planet below. Commander Exatech, an imposing figure with a crystalline exoskeleton and deep violet eyes, stood in the observation chamber, staring at the holographic display of Earth. For centuries, the Kraken Empire had mastered the art of silent observation. Their species had no interest in conquest. They sought knowledge, cataloging life forms and civilizations across galaxies. Primitive or advanced, cooperative or predatory, each species offered a puzzle piece to the galactic mosaic. Humanity, however, presented a unique enigma. From their first observations, humans seemed paradoxical. On the one hand, they lacked the physical strength of apex predators from other planets. They had no fangs, claws, or natural armor. Yet, they thrived in every environment on their planet, from scorching deserts to frozen tundras. Humanity's ability to adapt and dominate was baffling. How had such a fragile species risen to global dominance? To answer this question, Commander Exatech dispatched reconnaissance units to study human societies in detail. Tiny drones, no larger than Earth insects, descended into the planet's atmosphere, slipping undetected into cities, villages, and wilderness. The mission was clear: observe, analyze, and report. Weeks passed as the drones collected terabytes of data. From bustling metropolises to remote tribal communities, the Kraken studied humanity in its many forms. Finally, the ship's research team convened to present their findings. In the central chamber of the NALRE, holographic images of Earth rotated slowly, casting a pale blue glow on the assembled scientists. Commander Exatech began biologist Arinek, stepping forward. His translucent wings fluttered slightly in nervous excitement. Our observations confirm that humans are predators, as we initially suspected. Their physiology reveals adaptations suited for hunting, forward-facing eyes for depth perception, bipedal locomotion for endurance pursuits, and a highly developed brain for strategizing. Exatech nodded. This was consistent with the initial hypotheses. And their behavior. Arinek gestured to the hologram, which shifted to display a savanna teeming with wildlife. Humans, clad in primitive clothing, wielded tools and weapons. Historically, they hunted cooperatively using teamwork and intelligence to overcome physically superior prey. Over time, their tools evolved, as did their methods. They transitioned from direct hunting to controlling their environment, domesticating animals and cultivating crops. Primitive survival tactics, Exatech remarked. Nothing unusual for a sentient species. That's where you're wrong, Commander, interjected sociologist Vitar, stepping forward. Humans are not just predators. They are cultural predators. They do not merely survive, they dominate. And their dominance manifests differently across regions. The hologram shifted again, this time to a series of images. The crowded streets of Tokyo, the vibrant markets of Lagos, the quiet fjords of Norway, and the sprawling cities of America. Vitar highlighted the differences. While all humans share core traits, their societies diverge based on geography, history, and resources. But there is one region, one society, that stands apart from the rest. Vitar paused for emphasis. The United States of America. Murmurs rippled through the chamber. Exatech tilted his head. Explain. Vitar adjusted the hologram, zooming in on the United States. The projection displayed its cities, industries, and military complexes. Americans have refined predatory behavior into a strategic art form. Unlike other regions where cooperation tempers competition, Americans elevate competition to a defining principle. Their society revolves around outmaneuvering rivals, whether in economics, culture, or warfare. Arinek frowned, his crystalline eyes narrowing. Is this not true of all human societies to some degree? Yes, Vitar agreed, but the intensity is unparalleled in America. Their economic system, which they call capitalism, embodies predatory instincts. Corporations act as apex predators within their ecosystem, constantly seeking to dominate markets, acquire rivals, and exploit resources. The hologram shifted to a bustling Wall Street trading floor. Humans shouted and gestured wildly, their faces a mixture of determination and desperation. Vitar explained, "Here, the strongest thrive by devouring the weak. Financial success is celebrated as a form of victory, while failure often leads to ruin." Exatech's mandibles clicked thoughtfully, a form of economic warfare. "Precisely," Vitar replied, "but it extends beyond economics. Americans also dominate culturally. Their music, films, and technological innovations spread across the globe, infiltrating other societies. They export their values and ideas, often displacing local traditions." The hologram displayed scenes of humans around the world watching American movies, listening to American music, and using American technology. Exatech observed this silently, his crystalline fingers tapping against the console. "What are their interactions with other nations?" he asked. Vitar hesitated. "Their approach is complex. On one hand, they cooperate through alliances and aid. On the other, they project power aggressively. They maintain the largest and most technologically advanced military on the planet, capable of striking anywhere at any time." The hologram shifted to an American aircraft carrier, a colossal machine bristling with weaponry. Fighter jets launched from its deck, and submarines prowled the waters below. Tactician Konar, who had been silent until now, spoke up. "Commander, their military strategies are as predatory as their economics. They do not simply defend their territory. They dominate the global battlefield. Their doctrine emphasizes overwhelming force, rapid deployment, and technological superiority." Exatech's eyes gleamed. "And what drives this relentless pursuit of dominance?" Vitar responded, "A combination of ambition, fear, and adaptability. Their history is marked by conflict, both internal and external. They have learned to view the world as a place of constant competition. To survive and thrive, they believe they must remain at the top." Arinek added, "It is not just their tools or strategies that make them formidable. It is their mindset. They see challenges as opportunities and failure as a stepping stone to success. This adaptability is what makes them truly dangerous." Exatech leaned back, the weight of the revelation sinking in. Humanity as a whole was more predatory than he had anticipated. But the Americans? They were something else entirely. "Prepare a detailed report," he ordered, "and increase our surveillance of this America. I wish to understand the full extent of their predatory nature." As the scientists dispersed, Exatech remained in the chamber, staring at the holographic Earth. Humanity, he realized, was a species defined by contradictions. Fragile yet fearsome, cooperative yet competitive, innovative yet destructive. And among them, the Americans were the apex. Commander Exatech had read countless reports about dominant species across the galaxies, beasts that ruled through sheer strength, cunning, or unmatched resilience. Yet none had captivated his attention like the humans, particularly the Americans. Their hybrid nature, part predator, part creator, made them a unique study. But understanding their true essence required more than observation. It demanded action. The Krathan Empire had long avoided direct engagement with civilizations they studied. Their approach was to remain unseen, blending into the shadows of existence. But America's ability to thrive as an apex society demanded a deeper test. Exatech ordered a controlled encounter to gauge their response, focusing on their famed adaptability, aggression, and unity under pressure. The chosen theater. The operation would take place in a remote corner of the American Midwest. It was an ideal testing ground, sparsely populated, yet close enough to urban centers to trigger a response. The target, a small farming community nestled between rolling plains and dense forests. The Krathan's reconnaissance drones had identified it as representative of rural America, a region known for resilience, self-reliance, and a strong sense of community. The experiment began subtly. At first, the Krathan disrupted local power grids and communications, plunging the town into silence. They observed as the residents quickly adapted, relying on backup generators and improvised systems to maintain some semblance of normalcy. Next came livestock abductions. The Crathen used cloaked hovercrafts to capture cattle and other farm animals, creating a sense of unease among the humans. Local farmers, armed with rifles and a sense of duty, organized nightly patrols to defend their property. Exatech watched the footage with fascination. Primitive weapons. Yet their resolve is commendable. He mused. They act with a pack mentality, protecting not just their own but each other's resources. The Crathen escalated their actions. They deployed ground units, small, agile drones equipped with energy weapons. These machines began sabotaging infrastructure, destroying barns, silos, and vehicles. The attacks were quick and precise, leaving no evidence of their origin. The response was almost immediate. The humans contacted local law enforcement, who, despite being outmatched technologically, approached the situation with determination. Officers coordinated search efforts, interviewed witnesses, and set up roadblocks to catch the culprits. What resilience, said Vitar, observing from the command chamber. Even without understanding the nature of their adversary, they persist. The federal response. As the disruptions continued, the situation drew the attention of state and federal authorities. The Crathen observed as a network of agencies sprang into action. Satellites scanned the area, while unmarked helicopters patrolled the skies. A team of government operatives, highly trained and equipped with advanced tracking equipment, arrived to investigate. The humans displayed an impressive ability to pool resources and expertise, coordinating across multiple levels of authority. More intriguing, however, was their strategic approach. They didn't merely react, they anticipated. Using data from previous attacks, the operatives predicted where the next strike might occur and prepared ambushes. The Crathen drones, accustomed to evading primitive detection methods, found themselves ensnared in traps. One drone was disabled and captured, its cloaking device rendered ineffective by an electromagnetic pulse weapon. The humans transported the wreckage to a secure facility, where scientists began analyzing it. Exatech felt a pang of unease. They adapt faster than expected, he admitted. They reverse-engineer technology they've never seen before. This is dangerous. Escalation to military involvement. The capture of alien technology elevated the situation further. The United States military was called in under the guise of a national security threat. Soldiers arrived in unmarked vehicles, blending into the civilian environment while preparing for an unknown enemy. The Crathen decided to test the humans' combat abilities directly. A small squad of Crathen operatives, equipped with advanced armor and energy weapons, descended to the surface under the cover of night. Their objective was to retrieve the captured drone and assess human combat tactics. What they encountered defied expectations. The humans had fortified their position with remarkable speed. Using a combination of natural terrain, improvised barriers, and strategic placement of personnel, they created a defensive perimeter. Snipers perched in nearby trees, while ground forces patrolled in disciplined formations. The Crathen operatives attempted a stealth approach, using cloaking devices to infiltrate the facility. But the humans, employing thermal imaging and motion detectors, detected their presence. The ensuing conflict was a chaotic blend of strategy and sheer willpower. Despite their technological advantage, the Crathen found themselves overwhelmed by the humans' tenacity. Soldiers adapted on the fly, using guerrilla tactics to exploit the aliens' weaknesses. They communicated seamlessly, sharing intelligence and adjusting their strategies in real time. One Crathen operative was incapacitated and taken prisoner. The others barely escaped, retreating to their hovercraft under heavy fire. Apex adaptability. Back aboard the NALRE, Commander Exatech reviewed the battle footage with a mixture of admiration and apprehension. Their technological inferiority is irrelevant, he said. Addressing his officers, they compensate with creativity, determination, and an uncanny ability to exploit their environment. They do not fight as individuals, but as a cohesive unit, each part contributing to the whole. Vitar added, Their cultural values, independence, innovation, and a relentless drive to overcome obstacles are not merely abstract concepts. They manifest in every action, from the farmer defending his land to the soldier strategizing on the battlefield. Tech nodded, and this is only the beginning. We have yet to see their full potential. What would happen if they perceived us as a genuine existential threat? Next shuddered. They would unite Commander despite their internal divisions. Humans have a history of setting aside differences when faced with an external adversary. Their capacity for innovation under pressure is unmatched. The Crafton debated their next move. Some argued for continued observation, while others advocated for immediate withdrawal. Tech, however, saw an opportunity. We have learned much, he said, but there is more to uncover. We must understand the limits of their adaptability, their capacity for cooperation, and their willingness to escalate. Only then can we fully comprehend the threat they pose, not just to us but to any species they encounter. To this end, the Crafton decided to escalate their experiment. They would simulate a larger-scale incursion, targeting multiple regions simultaneously. The goal was not to provoke war, but to observe how Americans, and humanity as a whole, would respond to a coordinated global challenge. As the NALRE prepared for the next phase of its mission, Commander Tech couldn't help but feel a growing sense of respect for the humans. They are predators, he thought, but more than that, they are survivors. And among them, the Americans stand as the pinnacle of their species, a relentless force of nature, both terrifying and inspiring. The experiment would continue, but Tech knew one thing for certain. The Crafton Empire had underestimated the humans. And that was a mistake they could not afford to make again. The decision to escalate the experiment was not taken lightly. The Crafton, despite their vast technological superiority, recognized the peril of provoking humans, especially the Americans. Yet Commander Tech believed that pushing humanity to its limits was the only way to fully understand the threat they posed. The plan was simple yet bold: simulate a global crisis. The Crafton would stage simultaneous incursions in strategically significant locations across the United States. By targeting urban centers, industrial hubs, and military installations, they could analyze America's capacity to respond under immense pressure. The simulations would involve non-lethal engagements, ensuring no permanent harm was inflicted, at least not intentionally. The first wave, the experiment began at dawn. Across the United States, cloaked Crafton craft descended from orbit, deploying advanced drones and holographic projections to create chaos. In New York City, electromagnetic pulses disrupted communications and power grids, plunging the metropolis into darkness. In Silicon Valley, factories and tech campuses were infiltrated, their servers overloaded with alien algorithms. At Fort Bragg, one of the largest military installations in the country, holographic decoys appeared, simulating an alien ground invasion. The immediate reaction was confusion. Civilians speculated wildly, with some attributing the events to natural disasters, cyber attacks, or even domestic terrorism. Social media platforms erupted with unverified footage and conspiracy theories, further adding to the chaos. But within hours, the American response machine roared to life. Crisis coordination. The Department of Homeland Security, Pentagon, and National Security Council convened emergency meetings. America's intelligence agencies pooled resources, analyzing patterns in the disruptions. Meanwhile, local authorities coordinated evacuation efforts, established shelters, and maintained order amidst growing panic. Commander Tech watched the unfolding events with fascination. The holographic display aboard the NALRE showed a flurry of activity as humans mobilized across the nation. They respond like a living organism, Tech observed, each part performing its role, united by an unseen network of instinct and organization. Vitar nodded. They are uniquely capable of multi-level coordination. Local, state, and federal entities act autonomously yet cohesively. Few species we've studied exhibit such seamless adaptability. The Crafton marveled at the ingenuity displayed in real time. Engineers in Silicon Valley bypassed the alien algorithms, creating improvised firewalls to protect critical systems. In New York City, first responders restored order using rudimentary communication methods, relying on human messengers and pre-planned contingencies. At Fort Bragg, soldiers engaged the holographic decoys with calculated precision. Though the enemy wasn't real, the Americans treated the simulation as an authentic invasion, adjusting their strategies with remarkable efficiency. The civilian factor. One aspect of the American response particularly intrigued the Krathen: the role of civilians. Unlike other species, where leadership and action were confined to a ruling class or specialized caste, humans displayed an extraordinary ability to self-organize. In rural Kansas, farmers armed with hunting rifles formed impromptu militias to protect their communities. In Chicago, tech-savvy citizens collaborated with law enforcement to counteract cyberattacks. Across the country, ordinary individuals stepped up, showcasing creativity, resilience, and a deep-seated belief in collective responsibility. Exatech found this particularly unnerving. Their strength does not lie solely in their leaders or warriors. It is distributed across their entire population. Even their weakest members contribute to their survival. Arinek, the biologist, added, "This is a trait unique to humans. Their instinct for survival transcends social hierarchies. Every individual believes they have a role to play, no matter how small." The turning point. Despite the chaos, the Americans quickly began to regain control. By the second day of the incursions, their technological countermeasures had neutralized several Krathen drones. More troublingly, human scientists had reverse-engineered parts of the alien technology, adapting it for their own use. The most significant breakthrough came from Fort Bragg, where military engineers successfully hacked into the Krathen's communications network. Using this newfound access, they began tracking alien movements and predicting their actions with startling accuracy. "They've turned our own systems against us," Coar, the tactician, said, his voice tinged with awe. "They do not merely react. They learn and adapt faster than any species we've encountered." Exatech's unease deepened. They are not merely resisting. They are evolving. Every attack we launch strengthens them. A unified front. The Krathen had anticipated a divided response, expecting internal conflicts to hinder America's ability to act. After all, humans were known for their ideological, political, and cultural divisions. Yet under the strain of the crisis, those divisions seemed to dissolve. The president addressed the nation in a televised broadcast, urging unity and resilience. Political rivals set aside their differences to focus on the greater threat. Citizens volunteered en masse, donating resources, offering shelter, and aiding in recovery efforts. "This is what makes them dangerous," Vitar observed. "When faced with a common enemy, they unite in ways no other species can. Their tribal instincts, which often divide them, become their greatest strength in times of crisis." Exatech nodded grimly, "And that unity is amplified by their ingenuity. We are witnessing a civilization that thrives under pressure, becoming stronger with every challenge." The Krathen retreat. By the third day, the Americans had gained the upper hand. Using a combination of human ingenuity and reverse-engineered alien technology, they launched a coordinated counteroffensive. Cloaked Krathen craft were detected and targeted with precision strikes. Drones were systematically dismantled or captured. Realizing the experiment had gone too far, Exatech ordered an immediate retreat. The Krathen operatives withdrew, their cloaking devices barely keeping them hidden as they fled Earth's atmosphere. Back aboard the NRE, the mood was somber. The experiment had revealed more than the Krathen had anticipated, and not all of it was comforting. The final analysis. In the ship's central chamber, the research team presented their findings. Holographic displays showed the Americans' response in vivid detail, from the grassroots efforts of civilians to the strategic brilliance of their military. Commander, Vitar began, the Americans have proven themselves to be the apex of their species. Their adaptability, unity, and relentless drive make them unparalleled predators. They are not merely reacting to challenges. They are evolving in real time. Arenek added, their technological ingenuity is alarming. Given enough time, they could rival our own advancements. Koyar, ever the pragmatist, concluded, if humanity, especially America, perceives us as a true threat, they will stop at nothing to ensure their survival. They are the kind of species that turns desperation into strength. We must tread carefully. Exatech listened silently, his crystalline fingers steepled in thought. Finally, he spoke. We set out to study predators, but we found something far more formidable, a civilization capable of reshaping its destiny. They are not just apex predators of their world. They are aspirants to the stars, and one day, they may challenge us in ways we cannot yet imagine. The NALRE departed Earth's orbit, leaving humanity unaware of the galactic scrutiny it had endured. But for the Krathen, one thing was clear. The Americans were not merely a force to be studied. They were a force to be reckoned with,